It's the first episode of season 3 of our podcast show. Thank you so much for sticking with Winston and me as we figure it all out. Of course, we've got an exciting show this week where we're picking up the tech stories that we haven't touched on quite yet. This includes our thoughts on Microsoft's new Surface hardware updates, which Winston will be taking us through, and Mark Zuckerberg's crazy plan to put VR headsets on everyone, which I will be touching on briefly. We'll also be taking a masterclass on how to unlaunch products, courtesy of Nvidia. And there's a new entrant in the EV space who is an absolute giant in their own right, and you'll be very surprised. And finally, we'll remember a gaming device with too short a life. Let's get on with the show. Winston, rolling on to you. What's happening at Microsoft?
Well, Microsoft kind of released a bunch of laptops and tablets, I think a few weeks ago, and including the Surface Pro 9, the Surface Laptop 5, as well as the new Studio 2 Plus. So let me explain. I think they all come with the 12th gen processors, Intel 12th gen, and they all support, I think, Thunderbolt 4, but except the Studio 2 Plus, which is quite strange. But let me carry on. Surface Pro 9, let's start with that. And it comes with a 12th gen Intel processor, which is fairly new because the recent update, I think it was the 13th gen, they only announced that later on, I think in October. But 12th gen is just as good, and that's as really powerful and fast. They also have a Microsoft SQ3 version, which is an ARM processor. So for people who don't know, there are two types of processors, CISC and RISC. And ARM is the RISC processor, and they're usually found on most mobile phones, tablet devices, and things like that. So this one is the SQ3 they call it, and it's a kind of modified Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, which is, I think, mostly power saving, and it's got I can't remember, 5 nanometer process. So it's quite a powerful chip, and it's usually, again, found on most platforms and things like that. So it comes with a 120 hertz refresh rate. It also has a 13-inch pixel Sense display, and comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gig SSD. Also has Thunderbolt 4, 5G connectivity because it's a tablet, and up to 19 hours of battery life. Prices starts at $1,279 Canadian.
Okay, couple of things here. Number one, Microsoft 12th gen processor, Intel. An ARM processor and an Intel processor are not the same, right? So if someone were to buy an Intel processor, they would probably have all the compatibility and everything. But what if they accidentally bought the SQ3 processor? They're both called Surface 9. So what would happen to them? Would their printer stop working? Would their USB devices stop working? I have a feeling that actually might happen.
With the SQ3 processor, I mean, it's just a processor itself. It doesn't do anything else. You still get the compatibility with Microsoft the OS. That's what it runs, Windows 11. So with that, it shouldn't be an issue with Windows 11 because the processing power is all through the chip rather than having specific application dedicated for that Intel processor or SQ3 processor. So you shouldn't have any issues with that, I guess. So, but the price is interesting because the $1,200 mark or price range is for the Intel processor.
Okay.
For the SQ3, it's a little bit more.
It's more money.
And yes, more money, $1,300 Canadian dollars for that.
So you're basically buying a really big phone with a 13-inch screen for more money. Okay.
That can run Windows 11.
Now, the 19 hours battery life, I can tell you right off the bat that this is definitely not the Intel. It's not the Intel because I've tested the Surface Pro 8. It's a beautiful keyboard. I like using it. It heats up quite quickly, so it does throttle. But unfortunately, what happens is that the 19 hours of battery life, it ends up being a problem because it doesn't get there. I've only ever gotten up to maybe 9 hours of battery life on that particular device. However, this has got to be the Qualcomm. It's got to be Qualcomm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Qualcomm processors are usually found on most mobile phones and tablets, and it's because it's power efficient, and also with the battery it lasts quite long. Intel processors are heavy kind of juice jugglers.
Yeah.
They take up all the battery. Yeah, definitely.
That also tells me that the 5G connectivity, that probably is not the Intel, because the Intel only has Wi-Fi 6 usually. Then they sold off their modem division, right? So it sounds like to me that the Qualcomm gets all the mobile tricks, including the 5G connectivity in the SIM slot probably, right? Or they might use an eSIM, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas the and again, this is confusing, because if I buy a Surface Pro 8 or Surface Pro 9, sorry, what am I getting? If I go into Best Buy and I go to the Geek Squad and I ask them, hey, I would like a Surface Pro 9, which one are they going to give me?
Well, it depends if you're, if you're on a mobile. I mean, in mobile meaning mobility, meaning you're on a go, you're always on the road. So if you are that person, then go for the SQ3 processor, because that has built-in 5G connectivity and things like that. With an Intel version, it's more for home use. If you want to do some, Excel and things like that, Word, you can carry that with, if you go to college or if you're into business and things like that. So it is a tablet in the sense that it has no wireless cellular technology, right? I suppose. Whereas if you go for the SQ3 version, which is the Qualcomm, that would be the more mobility cellular kind of service.
I still think that an uneducated or less educated salesperson on the floor will probably recommend the wrong thing. This is what it looks like to me, because if they're both called exactly the same thing, how do you differentiate between the two? No one reads the spec. Oh, I want a Surface Pro 9. It's like saying I want an iPod or whatever this size. It's going to be one SKU, different features, right? So the processor is going to be an issue.
Put it this way, look at it as if it's iPad on its own or iPad plus cellular, like that.
Someone's device is not going to work when they plug it into a Qualcomm chip. I can guarantee, because they don't have the same driver support.
Okay, I forgot to mention, this is starting price $1,200, right?
It's a lot of money.
So they do have other configurations, 16 gig versions, 256 and things like that. So those go up to like $2,000, $3,000. So
well, I guess in a sense,
it is the starting price.
I guess in a sense, if it's the Microsoft SQ3 processor, it's only one processor, right? Whereas it'll be i5, i7 on the Intel side, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
So in the I guess the salespeople and the person buying it, they'll know to look for the SQ3 version as not buying it if they want compatibility with a old scanner.
Well, it's they have them in i5 and i7 being the most expensive, of course, and there are two versions which I think it can get confusing. The standard i5, and there's also the Evo i5.
I wonder if the accessories will work, because if you need separate accessories for the Qualcomm, for the pen, and also for the keyboard, and also for the dock, someone's going to kill somebody.
It's gonna. All the accessories are probably either you get a bundled version with it, which is the cheaper versions, and then you got the more expensive accessories. But I think the difference between the i5 and the i5 Evo is the power efficiency.
Okay.
So you save some battery power on there.
Let's hope so.
All right.
Moving on.
Okay, moving on to the Surface Laptop 5. So there, again, this one uses the same 12th gen Intel, but Evo processor. It comes with a 3:2. It's a ratio 3:2 pixel sense
more of a square
display. Yeah, touchscreen. So you can, touch screen as well as your normal laptop. 13.5 inch or 15 inch options, display screens with Dolby Vision IQ.
Okay.
And comes with the minimum or starting spec of 8 gig and 256 gig SSD, right?
I also think that's an Evo standard spec, right? Because in the Intel Evo spec, it means you need to have at least 8 gigabytes, 256, certain battery life. But this is so like their mobile processors are confusing, because why would they stick Evo in it when it could be not in an Evo? Is it the same SKU or is it a different SKU, right?
Yeah, I think it's the new type, I guess, and because of the battery life, right,
Okay.
and power efficiency. So I think they're pushing these new Evo class of Intel chips. So yeah, Thunderbolt 4 is standard as well, and it comes with a front-facing HD camera
720p
with
or
studio
1080p?
microphone. 1080p probably.
Thank you.
I'll be surprised if it's 720 in nowadays.
That would be disappointing if it was. My
And
God.
prices start from $12.99.
So you have your choice between, well, I guess at $12.79 for the Surface Pro 9, you don't get a keyboard. Well, this one gives you a keyboard.
Yeah, because it's a laptop.
Yeah, because that keyboard is like $300.
That's
It
expensive.
is
for a
expensive.
keyboard.
I've used it before.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to type on, but man, is it expensive. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. So I haven't got much to say about that because that's just Surface laptop.
It's just your basic laptop that happens to have a Surface symbol on it. Okay. Now Studio 2
All right.
Plus. Interesting.
Studio 2 Plus, yes. This is a new product. I've actually seen similar products from Intel, but this one is interesting because it is a 28-inch kind of built-in mini computer, but all in one kind of thing,
Looks
right?
like an iMac kind of
It
thing.
has a kind of this one it doesn't come with a 12th gen Intel processor. It comes with a 11th gen.
Why?
So I have no idea, but apparently this it comes with the 11th gen H processor. I'm probably thinking, what the hell's a H processor? It's the mobile version of a laptop. Desktop.
Oh,
version
desktop
of
chip.
the,
Okay, so that's why
chip.
it's faster.
So it's a laptop version. So it runs lower heat and less, more power efficiency, and it's actually 50% faster in terms of the megahertz rating, right? In terms of the same speed. It also comes with a GeForce RTX 3060, which, as you know, graphics card is quite pricey these days. But a 3060 is more than capable, and it's pretty powerful for a mini PC / a laptop, but this is of course a mini PC. It comes with standard 1 terabyte of SSD and 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's stylish. It comes with a stylish Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, and of course comes with USB-C connections and Thunderbolt 4, and has this special zero gravity hinge built in, of course, so you tilt and swivel your monitor kind of thing, which is, I guess, something which is zero gravity, right? Better than the Apple one. Remember the Apple one?
I don't.
It's like $1,000, right? Anyway, surprising. This thing ain't cheap. This thing costs $5,959. I don't know why. I'm guessing they're competing at the high end premium kind of range, competing against Apple. I don't know, but the spec wise, it's if that price range, I probably want to go for a high end Apple.
I could buy two XPS 15 high end laptops with exactly the same spec for less money. It seems like honestly, with a 12th gen processor, with the i7 or i9 processor on board, with the same amount of maybe a 512 gigabyte SSD and 32 gigabytes of RAM, but it would be portable. It would have a battery in it. I could take it everywhere. It would be 15-inch and 4K.
I guess the only thing that's going for it is the 28-inch screen.
That seems small to me. 34 is the standard for a desktop system now, right? Like, honestly, and it needs to be wide so that you can put everything out.
Yeah. But it does look quite nice, but not for that price. I mean, if it was like 2,500, say, that would have been.
We used to say that there would be an Apple tax. I call this the Microsoft tax.
I'm noticing that. I'm noticing that the Microsoft now going towards kind of the more premium kind of market where, you're getting the high end stuff at the price. And I think it's, maybe a market they think, hey, we can, make some profit there. But the Microsoft products that they do release are quite high quality, quite high end, because I remember when we first got those gaming mouse, right? And I think Microsoft had those gaming keyboard and mouse, the first set, and the quality was amazing. I mean, people purposely go and get the Microsoft, the ergonomic keyboard and the mouse and everything. they weren't cheap. They were like at the time $100, $150, and
I
people
still
go
have
for
that
it,
gaming mouse,
you know?
actually. It has all the weights and everything. I still have
Yeah.
it kicking around. It was wired and wireless, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you plugged it in or not. It's not a big deal. But it was a really nice
So-
piece. It was kind of big, though, for me. It was a
Yeah, it
big,
was a bit
chunky
chunky,
mouse. But $6,000 for last year's technology and last year's GPU.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I mean, for that price, I mean, if it had, say, again, 2 terabytes, 64 gig of RAM, and maybe had like not just 2 terabytes, but 2 terabytes like in a kind of what do you call them? SSD kind of
removal.
What's that thing they put them together? Like a RAID system.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
super fast,
Like
right?
2 of them together.
And things like that, and and extra things which make it like, hey, this is the kind of thing I want. Maybe have a dual processor.
I don't want it.
That'll be
Winston,
like,
I'm sorry. I don't want this.
Or, and forget the 3060. Put a 3080
I don't want
in
this,
there.
Winston. Winston, I don't want this. For $6,000, the amount, the kick-ass system that I could build for that amount of money is pretty awesome.
I could get maybe I get a RTX.
I mean, I could have a 34-inch monitor for $799, and then I could spend the rest of the money on something that is small form factor with all the features and a proper GPU and a proper Core 12 gen processor, probably a Core i9 and everything like that, all set up and ready to go with like 64 gigabytes to 128 gigabytes of DDR4, DDR5 RAM. It's easy to do, and I would be able to use any keyboard that I wanted, not just this one.
Yeah.
Interesting device, Winston. I don't think they're going to sell a lot of these.
No, I won't be getting one.
No, I can't think of anyone that would want one of these specifically unless they had too much money to spend. That's why.
The Surface Pro 9, that's interesting because I could use it as a tablet and or as a laptop if I combine it with the detachable keyboard. But as the Surface 5 laptop, though, no.
I am a fan of the Surface Pro. I don't know about the Qualcomm one. I think that there will be compatibility issues, mainly because it is an ARM processor. There's not a lot of help in the driver space, even though it's increasing. But your old scanner, your old all-in-one fax machine that you have plugged in at the office, if you buy the wrong Surface Pro 9, you're not going to be able to use those things. There's just no drivers. So that's why I have this concern that someone's going to walk into Best Buy. They're going to want the latest Surface. They're going to pick up the wrong one, and then they're going to go home with it and be like, what the hell?
That's true. That's true, because one has to consider that certain applications such as Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, and a few others are Intel specific because they have microcode or special code written for that processor.
They don't just work.
And it may not run for the ARM, so that's something.
Be aware of that. We're putting that out there. If you know someone that's looking for a Surface Pro 9 or something like that, or just upgrading their Surface Pro 4 or 5, make sure that they are absolutely aware that there's an Intel version and an SQ3 version, which is a ARM processor, not an Intel, and that you pass on this information if you come across our podcast or this part of the podcast.
Yes, right.
All right.
Okay, so Stephen, what have you got for us? From
Meta.
you
know our guy, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Our friend.
Yeah.
They recently had their Meta Connect conference, which is when they get their developers and all their staff together to talk about the Metaverse and VR and that vision that he has to put basically everyone behind a pair of glasses to work, to play, and everything like that.
Are they glasses or are they actual big goggles that cover your entire?
You can enter the Metaverse with the ones that are hooked up to your computer, or you can use one of their Quest 2 headsets, or you can try out their brand new one, which was also announced at the event, which is a $1,500 self-contained monster. US dollars, of course. So that means it's like $2,400 Canadian, probably, headset that is redesigned from anything else out there. So it'll be called the Quest Pro. It'll be built-in battery, so hopefully a USB-C connection to charge it. And it's got a system on chip on board. So it's a completely self-contained computer that can operate in the VR Metaverse environment. It has a light blocker attachment. So, the sides of your head, like you want to be like a horse, you need the blinders on. You can pay $50 extra for that attachment to give you a more immersive experience, right? It looks like half of a helmet that you stick right on your head. It's balanced because the front part and the back part is balanced by the flat battery that goes on the back of your head. And it uses a new Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Plus chip that has 12 gigabytes of RAM on board and 256 gigabytes of storage and a 90 hertz refresh rate. So if we're talking about the Surface that we were talking, the SQ3, it seems like it's more powerful with more RAM. It's also a complete redesign over previous generations like the Quest 2 and the other Quest ones, with 10 new sensors, new optics that are flatter. They use a pancake lens, so it sits closer to your face, so it doesn't stick out as much. Hence the balance on your head. And it's more compact and has a more sophisticated kind of like, it's all black glass, so it looks the same everywhere. So when you have it on your head, you look like, there's this minifig, this Lego character that it looks like. I can't remember which one, but it looks like it's covering your head and it's the same. Wait, hold on. In Star Wars, they're like in the control room. It's like one of those helmet things where it goes on both sides.
That's
without the little peaky thing. Yeah. So it's funny that way. They are saying that with the complete redesign, new optics and everything like that, and a per eye resolution of 1800 by 1920, you can barely see the screen door effect unless you're looking for it. And this is one of the things that separates reality from virtual reality. Can also switch between virtual reality and reality, like kind of a opacity thing. So it'll leave things that you've created in virtual reality out there while giving you the real world.
Okay. Oh, so it's like an AR augmented reality.
VR switch. Yes.
Is that what they call it?
So it's kind of like that.
Okay.
So if you've painted something on your wall in VR and you put it there, you'll still see it. And anyone that walks into the same room where you've put that painting up, they're going to see it too.
Oh, so it's literally a virtual world that you are going in or immersing yourself in. Whatever you put in there or whatever you ever take out, it will reflect in that virtual world.
And one of the other things that are one of the other innovations, like this is like a life-changing moment for Meta, like it's going to change the world, is that they finally figured out legs. Before, everyone was just a torso. It was just like, waist up. But now legs exist and you can jump and you can like kick things and
all right. So the legs do move. And if, for example, if I kick my leg, left leg or right leg, you will see that in the virtual world. My leg, the person that for example, I'm seeing you virtually, right, in that virtual world. And when you kick, you'll kick with the left foot, whatever, and I will see your leg on that torso.
Now there's a safety function here. You can't just kick someone randomly. There is I think there's a safety buffer between all the avatars and everything right now. So you can't just kick people randomly.
So it won't be it won't be like GTA 5.
One thing that is coming that will be super creepy, and this is, we're talking about some of the future things, the legs will be coming soon, is the fact that you will be able to scan yourself, like a holo scan of your face and yourself. And what will happen is that it'll be able to create an avatar that's like yourself, so that when you emote, when your eyebrows go up, when you smile and everything, it will look like a creepy version of you. Yeah.
Oh.
More realistic.
Your own little emoji,
like a deep fake version of yourself inside there. So I don't know if you can transfer, like if someone logs into your account and runs around as you and causes havoc, I don't know how well that'll go down. I think that's actually kind of a bad thing. I believe that the reason why that there needs to be a layer of unreality is the fact that you need to be. You need to have that layer of protection. It can't possibly be me because it doesn't look like me, but it does.
Yeah, there was one thing I wanted to ask. How realistic are the graphics inside? Because it's going to be kind of still, is it going to be pixelated?
Well, the screen door effect is gone. So basically you're looking at something that looks like it's unreal, but they're bringing the realism up to the avatar level. So maybe the next step is to create worlds that are completely realistic.
So when I'm talking, this might be unrealistic. So if I wanted to say, hey, it's going to be like Unreal 5 it's not going to be like that, right?
You know what? Remember in 2004 when Jensen Huang said they were looking for Toy Story like graphics 10 years later? It'll come.
Oh yeah.
The computing power will come, and they've already announced the fact that avatars like you and me will look like you and me at some point in the very near future.
Oh, okay,
based on the scanning technology.
So have you seen like again? I'll take it back to like GTA 5, right, and or any other games like that where the skin of the person is just like wrapped over a polygon.
Oh no,
square.
they're going for more realistic. No, it'll be more realistic than that. So it'll be super creepy. But again, this is the part where I kind of have feelings about, mainly because if you're cartoonish, it's not you doing those terrible things. If someone were to log into your account, there's
I mean, it's an avatar, right? It's not real. It's just a projection. It's a virtual character that you play. For me, if I'm playing any game online, I never use my own real name. I never, portray characteristics that resemble me, because I'm in a virtual game or virtual world. I don't use any of the, the features that I have, because it's not what it's about, right? You're in the virtual world. You're in Meta.
Well, one of the things that, and this is because it's such an expensive headset to develop and to create your own SoC and to develop everything here, Mark Zuckerberg has taken to the enterprise space to fund it, because we know that if something doesn't work in the consumer space, if you sell it to the niche enterprise space and they buy it, the money that they spend on that funds all the consumer stuff, right? So they're pushing a new partnership with Microsoft. This will include Teams. Zoom is not Microsoft, but it'll also support Zoom inside the metaverse, which will be like, okay, you're watching Zoom inside the metaverse. That's weird. But they'll do it in some way that'll work in the Meta Horizon software, right? Micro 365 will be integrated inside, so you can actually interact with PowerPoint, Excel, and everything like that. I don't know what that's going to exactly look like. And I think that the expectation is that you should be able to work inside the world by manipulating with your hands or even the virtual keyboard. So if they're taking it that far, further down the line, they'll also have virtual rooms, so that if you have a meeting, you'll break out into these rooms. You'll actually physically walk into them, and you'll work with the people inside that room as part of your team. It's interesting because Mark Zuckerberg wants people available in the office, and I think a lot of people want people back in the office. So if this gets people back in the office, then this is fine. At least in Mark Zuckerberg's world, he thinks about this as almost like issuing a laptop to someone so that they can be productive back in the office, so that it helps them become productive.
Yeah.
So a $1,500 device that gives you 3% more productivity from an employee, he says it's worth it.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, especially from working from home now these days, it's all good with a webcam and everything, but also, using this virtual reality device, and imagine you could interact with your colleagues in a way that it's virtually, right? So you might have, for example, I could be holding a product. Right. Yes, it's all good. It's 2D because you're just viewing it on the screen, on the webcam. But imagine having this object in the virtual world, and you can log in and see for yourself and hold it virtually. You can see all the angles. You can see the actual product. Have you seen that part where you have a product and it's exploded view? Have you seen that? It's like
Iron Man.
Yeah. So you can't do that on the webcam, right? But you could do that in the virtual world, where you can take the product and exploded view of the product, all the bits inside, and then you can expand it and rotate it and all that kind of stuff. And that's really good for collaboration of team members, of the product managers and things like that. I think that would be a good kind of application for this type of.
I guess it's something that we see in Iron Man, but that interface doesn't exist yet. The only place that we can put it is right now is inside VR, because if you have two people standing in front of it, like you were saying, if you want to blow something up and then this person wants to reach for the exact same thing and pull it down, you can't do that in Zoom.
Yeah.
But you can do it here.
Oh yeah, 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 of
So
course not.
very
Yeah.
interesting application. I don't know if Zuckerberg will succeed. He's looking for similar growth to Facebook, where 1 billion people will be in this space. Right now, most estimates are saying that he's sold no more than 10 million headsets that are compatible with the Meta Horizons software. And I also hear
Yeah.
that even their own employees are very hesitant to go into the Horizons world, mainly because they
Yeah.
find it buggy and glitchy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think if you look at 3D graphics, now and like 20 years ago. I mean, remember this car game called Stunt Racer?
I
Do you
think
remember
so.
that?
Yeah.
It was one of these first ever 3D, blocks, but it was a
Yeah.
3D racing game, right? Whereas before it was all pixels, and it was great. But unfortunately, it was a bit buggy. It was very slow. It didn't have the processing power back then. But forwarded to now, you have races which are
Yes.
especially with graphics card processing millions of pixels and polygons per second and so on. Like I said, virtual worlds probably will mature in terms of visual graphics and stuff like that. And who knows? One day we could log in. I'd be cool. I could be down your house virtually.
We could record the podcast together in the same room virtually. Yeah.
Virtually, yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
not
that's
bad.
true. I could be sitting down on the couch with
Yeah.
the mic and everything, and there could be a camera, and virtually we are in the
We are.
same.
We're setting up
podcast
the same
session.
equipment. We're making sure it's 1080p 30 for Riverside.fm. It'll be fun. Okay, so tell me how
Right.
Jensen Huang launches a product. Tell me about this.
Well, yeah. So, Stephen, have we've all heard of announcements and launches of new products, right? And of course, have you heard of an
Never
unlaunching
heard
a
anyone
product?
unlaunch a product. I've heard
Well,
them ignore them,
Yeah, well,
but never at
Nvidia.
launch.
Yeah, well, Nvidia's currently the world's biggest
Indeed.
graphics card producer, right, of GPUs and everything, right? And they just did that. How the hell do you unlaunch a product? Well, they launched the RTX 40 series
Yes.
last month, and it was the flagship RTX 4090 with 24 gigabytes of RAM, with the GDDR6 and all that kind of stuff. But they also launched two more models, the RTX 4080, and they come with a pretty fast 16 gig version and a slower model with a 12 gigabyte version. Apparently the RTX 4080 12 gigabyte model offers lower CUDA cores and clock rates, which is essential for 3D processing, especially in graphics and that kind of stuff. In fact, the performance is about the same as the previous generation of the RTX 3070. So yeah, a lot of people got really mad and masses of negative kind of like social media posts, things like that. So much so, Nvidia decided to unlaunch the RTX 40 12 gigabyte version, right? And we'll probably rename it something else. Too bad the damage has already
Okay,
been
I got a
done.
question here. How you're a multi-billion-dollar company. You're publicly traded. You have some of the best
Yeah.
people working for you that demand as much of themselves as they do the people around them. You pinch
Yeah.
every nickel and dime, and you fight for your spot at the top of the heap, and you don't let anyone get away with anything. You launch this thing. How could you possibly not know? How could you possibly not know?
I think they
Somebody
messed
messed
up. I think I think they thought, well, okay, we'll release two versions of the RTX 4080. One's the higher spec one, one's the lower spec one, assuming that people really don't know. Yes, they do use a new GPU architecture, right? But unfortunately, you can't expect the same performance as of a lower generation or previous generation, and then call it a next gen graphics card. With each generation of performance, in graphics technology and stuff like that, you're supposed to get a little bit better, right? And if you do get something like the next generation graphics card, which performs lower or similar to something like now, the previous generation, then you call it that something else, but they call it the same 40 series and expected someone
it's also been
believe that,
2 years, right? It's literally you skipped the cycle. You should be further ahead than this. And I guess we're not mad. We're just disappointed in you, Nvidia.
We're disappointed, yeah, because you don't, it's supposed to have less CUDA cores, right? And people already know that CUDA cores are the main things that are powering the graphics.
It's what defines
for
an
3D.
Nvidia GPU, right?
Yeah, what defines, yeah.
Well,
that's right. For Nvidia anyway, for GeForce series, and already from the spec sheet, you can see that it has lower CUDA cores than some of the previous generation, and you're selling at that. What's really mad is that they're selling the price higher and expect people to pay more for that, which doesn't make any sense. Yes, 4090, fine, I understand. 4080, the 16 gig version, yes, because it has higher CUDA cores, more performance. Yes, the price justifies that. But for the 12 gigabyte version, low performance, lower CUDA cores, are you still selling at $899?
And you need a new power connector.
Oh yeah, you need a new power connector, and they bundle. I think they bundled the power adapter for that, but still, people now these days need to change their power supply because they need something beefier.
Well, well, Uncle Jensen, listen, real talk here, Uncle. I'm just a little bit disappointed.
You're the first one to do the unlaunching. That's the first I heard of it, because when I heard about that, I thought, what? Unlaunching? So you announce the product and then now you're going to... Oh, what's worse is they're going to rename it something else. So the next product that they're going to rename using the same 4080, 12 gigabyte, it'll be the same graphics card, and people will just jump on that. And
Uncle Jensen, I love you, but I hate you. Okay, but I love you too.
You need to do some better marketing. Okay?
Do better, Uncle. We love you. Anyway.
All right. This is interesting. What's your next topic? This is FoxTron.
Yes, it's FoxTron and friends.
Okay.
So FoxTron is actually a division of Han Hai Precision Technology, which is better known in the world as Foxconn, better known as the company that manufactures all of Apple's iPads, MacBooks, everything that they make. The reason why that they're the top tier supplier and manufacturer for Apple is because of their supply chain superiority. So they build iPhones and iPads and MacBooks cheaper than anyone else, faster than anyone else can. And that's even after splitting up their manufacturing to different factories. Foxconn just did it better. Yeah. So now everything is with them. Now, what they're doing is, I think this started this probably started way earlier than this, but over a year ago, Foxconn started investigating the viability of building their own EVs with a company from Japan that actually manufactured electric motors called Nidec. Now, Nidec, some of you may have heard of already. They make motors for fans. They make motors for electric devices. They make motors for generation devices. So they do both propulsion and power generation, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So by getting together with them, what they discovered is that they wanted to make EVs because this would be a great opportunity for Foxconn and their ability to scale up production, which the world has been having problems with. So we've seen the issues with supply from Ford. We've seen the issues of supply from VW, from Kia, and all the other companies, right? But where Foxconn does not have a problem is building electronics and rolling them out at scale fast. And because an EV is mostly an electronic device, to be perfectly honest, it's got a battery inside. A lot of the building blocks are the same as any phone or any laptop or anything like that. They feel that they can take on that market and build 50% of the world's EVs. They didn't give a time frame, but they said that they would become the world's OEM for this to get EVs out on the market faster, including their own brand, which is called FoxTron. Now, this scares me a little bit because Foxconn in the past has tried to go retail. They're the only OEM manufacturer that actually hasn't had a brand that has been successful on its own. You've got Asus, you've got HTC, you've got Gigabyte. Yeah. All those brands have found a way to do marketing and research to make brands that people love and want to be part of, right? But Foxconn is the biggest OEM, but they have not figured out how to do that. So their new FoxTron pickup trucks, they'll be built in Taiwan, the US, of course, and also Thailand. They're about the size of a Ford Ranger, which is like way smaller than any of those huge Dodge Rams.
Yeah.
And it will tow 3 tons, and it will have a 1-ton capacity in the bed. It'll seat up to 5 passengers. They look nice. They seem to be working models that they were showing off at Han High Day, which is the where they bring all of the people together to see in the event, like an Apple event, right?
They have.
So
Yeah.
this is interesting to me. This is very interesting to me.
Well, let me roll back. So you mentioned the OEM, right? What does that mean? They're making batteries for these EVs, or are they developing the whole thing, including the drive shaft with the
They're
motor
developing
and everything?
everything.
So the motor with
Yeah, they're
NIDAC,
working
right?
with
So-
partners to develop all these parts, and then they're going to put everything together in their factories. So every factory will have different lines, and I think that they're going to do exactly what they did with Apple. This line creates iPads, this line creates MacBooks, this line creates this. Assembly will be done right down the chain. So
Right. So everything's all
in-house,
within.
right? And I have a
Yeah.
feeling that
Okay,
Foxconn,
okay.
what they want to do is they want to be like a good example of this is Giant Bicycle Group. Giant Bicycle Group is a global company that builds bikes not only for Giant Bicycles, which is one of the top tier brands in the world, including e-bikes, but Giant Bicycles has this white box division, and I think this is more of what we're talking about with what Foxconn is doing, is that they want to be the white box for all these other companies. So inside this white box, which has different brands inside, some of the ones that I can tell you right away is that Giant Bicycles manufactures for Specialized, for Trek Bicycles, for Santa Cruz, for some of the other big names. They use their technologies and everything, and they customize for them so that they roll out those same frames and everything like that. And then they're assembled back in another plant. So I think that, but I think that what Foxconn wants to do is they want to manufacture from beginning to end, and then deliver that product on a ship to that particular manufacturer to do the finishing touches, which is a big
Interesting
investment. I mean, imagine the size, like you can imagine the size of the Apple iPhone plant, right? Little tiny devices, right? Rolling off an assembly line. Imagine the magnitude of how big this factory would be when it's got 5 or 10 manufacturers' cars rolling off the line.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, they'll probably need to not just collaborate with, the manufacturing, right, and all the suppliers and all the other partners, like NIDAC and all that kind of stuff, right? But they also probably need to collaborate with car designers, because like you said, cars is a projection of your style, of your and if you get an OBM, it's like having a laptop. I've seen laptops which are just as good as the one I have right here. I've got the Asus Zephyrus G14. It's a gaming laptop from Asus, right? But the parts inside is the same as this other laptop, which is just bland. And why do I go for the Asus? Because it has the branding, it has the marketing involved, it has the sponsors and all the people that go for it. So they probably need to invest in marketing, in capturing the audience, the consumer side of things, right? Once they have that sorted, I think it could,
And this is what I'm afraid of, is that Foxconn, how many graphics cards launches have we been to together? How many motherboard launches have we been to together where they wanted to go retail? Every time it's like, no, we're taking this seriously. We're going to do this right. Thank you for your feedback, Journal. Like, how many times? I know these are different products, but it seems that Foxconn needs to really stay in their lane because they're really good at it. When you start to diverge and try to build a brand, building a brand takes a long time. It's like,
long time, and it costs a lot of money.
And keep in mind, Foxconn doesn't have the best track record right now of manufacturing rights and everything like that. Now, granted, it's that those projections to get that product out, that pressure comes from somewhere. Apple is not innocent. They turn the screws. The only thing that the line managers can do is make the workers work harder. That's all they can do.
Yeah. We've heard stories where
Yeah.
workers are overworked and
That's something that they need to fix. And, like if they can show a great experience for not only rolling out these cars, but people are happy on the lines, it's hard to figure out what loyalties will lie when you have 10 brands rolling off the line. Because if I'm building a Ford, am I a Ford guy or a gal? Or do I just get switched over like a machine to another line?
Yeah. Well, TSMC had an issue similar to that. I mean, they were making the 7 nanometer, 5 nanometer chips for AMD, and AMD a long time partner, right, with TSMC. And then suddenly Apple comes along, say, hey, I've got some cash. Yeah, I need a production line. I want you to make all my M1, M2 chips. And TSMC's like, okay. So, and then you're stepping on these toes and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a fine balance, because if you're a long time partner and, and some of the production have been co-developed with, a long time partner, and then suddenly a guy comes in with a lot of money. Hey, I want a couple of production lines. I want you to make this, make that. And
so it'll be interesting how that all works out. Like I know the OEM business is highly guarded. People in different account managers don't really talk to each other, but they pull from the same portfolio of technology, right? They pick and choose what they want to create.
Yeah, another example is PC chips.
Yeah.
And PC Partner, right? They're again manufacturing their production lines, and they make two brands of graphics cards, which are opposite
the D brand and the E brand. Just saying.
They're competing sides. So, hey, all right, okay. So where else we have?
Okay, the last thing that I'm going to take you through is we have to bid farewell to a high-end, not high-end gaming, but a AAA title gaming product. This was something that Google created and launched in November of 2019. And this is just after the pandemic started.
Ooh.
And this helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
This is called the Stadia.
That's right. Oh, okay.
All right?
Yeah. I remember that.
Wait, when it was the pandemic? 2020, right? Okay.
2020. It started 2020.
Right before the pandemic.
It says
late so this was the right product at the right time. Launching 2019, probably shipping in January when everything went to hell. The Stadia is now finally officially discontinued. Now, if you don't know what the Stadia is, basically it was supposed to be the Netflix of games run by Google, right? It would be like any other service, like Google TV, whatever, right now. Yeah. And it allowed people to play a free tier of games. So certain games will come out that were developed in studio that they just want to, get your feet wet. And then it would also allow you to have the ability to buy games, 20 to however much the developer wanted to sell the game for. And this includes AAA titles all in the cloud, similar to some other service out there like GeForce Now and Xbox when you play on your PC. But the differentiating factor was that you could actually just use a Chromecast Ultra and the controller. They sell this bundle for $129 US, and you plug that in, you get it going, and you can play games on any TV. This allowed people, any TV, you plug it in.
That's right.
So the reason why this was so popular is that some people don't want to bring a gaming PC or a gaming laptop when they travel on the road. So you could actually plug it into the hotel PC and get your side missions out of the way by playing on that particular television set. It would stream through that. It was very good at latency and everything like that. It's not quite as good as a gaming laptop or a gaming PC, but it was adequate enough so that people can go mine for some gold or, do a side mission. When the internet connection picks up, it'll be a better experience, of course. But in a hotel, it was great, right? $9.99 US was for a subscription, which allowed you all you can eat, similar to Xbox Game Pass, and it allowed you 50% off to 20% off AAA titles as they come off the line. So, rest in peace, Stadia.
I have a question about that because was it because discontinued because it wasn't popular, or it was oversubscribed, or it was just that there was so many other choices available that the Stadia wasn't one that people picked? What was the main kind of factor that made it.
I think that
go away.
in a lot of respects, running those servers, working with those developers, building specific Stadia versions of their games to run on their platform and code and optimize for streaming and everything like that. And this is probably different than what Microsoft does and what GeForce Now does, because GeForce has GPUs and everything like that. They're running that. The way that the Google probably ran it, they were probably not as well optimized. They're not a gaming company, so cost went.
That is true. That is true. I mean, if you look at Microsoft, they have a ton of software development teams, which are they have their own brands and they have their own software development team. They have others signed up to them and things like that. So, and we're talking about game development. We're not talking, let's produce a game and like 2 months later you get a game. We're talking years and years and years of development time
to
for
try to
one
get
title.
Proficient at creating or porting that game into a Stadia platform. It doesn't happen overnight. So ultimately what Stadia did is they did, I think, the right thing. They told the customers that we're going to be shutting down. It's going to be early next year, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, they may extend, who knows. They let the development team internally at Google know that this is shutting down. And they let them know, basically, they just had an all hands on deck meeting and said, we're shutting things down, as people were rolling out a new update to the service, from what I heard. And so that was very heartbreaking. For customers, if you bought from the Google Play Store or some other outlets, they said that they would be refunding your full $129. You can keep everything that's there, but they're going to refund that to you. So to me, what it sounds like is that they just didn't have enough customers to keep the service going.
I think what they should have done was like other big software houses and development is actually gone in, entice those developers to jump on a Stadia platform, and or themselves, Google being Google, they're big enough anyway, buy some software houses, development teams in to bring them on board. But that's something, again, it's not really their kind of cup of tea anyway. It was not their sector to mess around with, to make it big. They're concentrating on servers and
Gmail.
Google.
Please don't make Gmail
Pixel
go away.
Phones, Gmail, things like that.
As you know, Google sometimes innovates, but it's also somewhere where good ideas go to die.
Is this something similar happened to Google Glass? Remember that?
That's dead.
I thought that was
it was cool at the time,
product.
but it would take a lot of money to get people into that world. So they're going to let Facebook do it. They're going to let Microsoft do it. And this is like the Pixel way. They'll figure out what works and then they'll fix it. Or improve on it. But we'll see. There's still a lot of time for Google to get in there if they really want to, but they just need to see what works and kind of dive into it. I mean, right now we're talking about $1,500 Quest Pro headsets. Let's wait until they're $200 until we do something.
I would $299. I would go for, right?
I'd be in.
Or even maximum. I'll max out at $399, right? But $1,500. I'll rather get a GeForce.
Now, one thing I hope that the team is being taken care of is that what I heard is that Google is working on the next version of ChromeOS and working with hardware manufacturers to develop gaming-centric Chromebooks. So these will be more powerful. They'll have better Wi-Fi, radios on board, and they'll have low latency in the network stack. And dedicated graphics,
maybe built in.
Because it depends on how it's streamed and everything like that. If no processing is done on board, then it just needs to be highly efficient, good network stack, high resolution, good screen, good keyboard, right? Because if we're gaming on a laptop, it needs to be better that way. So it remains to see what they're going to do with that. So hopefully some of that team from Stadia made their way over here to make that gaming experience a lot better. I'd be interested in seeing what a high-end gaming Chromebook is. I'm not looking forward to the size of them if they're going to be huge, but I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that.
Yeah. Okay, that's in development. I mean, I myself got an Asus again gaming laptop, but I don't actually use it for gaming. Well, occasionally, but the spec I needed was for streaming, for data processing, video editing, and stuff like that. So that's why I got the one with the built-in GeForce RTX 3060, 32 gig of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, which should be enough for me, and I think it's a 13-inch screen, which is more than enough. If I need a bigger screen, I just plug in the actual monitor. And the nice thing is that without an internet connection, your laptop works. I'm just curious what'll happen with these ChromeOS Chromebook gaming laptops. So we'll see all about that. And I guess our show is at an end. And if you want to yell at me, but I would prefer if you engaged with me, you can find me on Twitter at Stephen Fung or on Instagram at Stephen Fung. How about you, Winston? Yes, you can also find me at Instagram at Winston Chim, and also at Twitter at Winston Chim. Again, lifestyle stuff, food, fashion. But
all right. Well, that concludes the very first episode of season 3. You've made it with us, 3 seasons. Congratulations! Thank you so much. This is this will be like what? Over 21 episodes so far, which is a while. True, and I hope that you stick with us for number 100, which will probably be here in next to no time, because it'll be next year, right? 50, another 80 weeks we'll be there. So make sure you stick with us, and thank you so much for tuning in every single week. And for those of you that leave comments, we thank you so much for leaving those. It helps us out a lot as well. And also our subscribers, if you subscribe to our channel every single week, we will let you know exactly when we put out our new show, which is every Wednesday around noon. And with the help of Google, it'll push those notifications to you, but only if you're subscribed and you're ringing that bell icon. It's very important for you to do that.
That's right.
And we'll see you next Wednesday. Till the next episode. Peace. Bye.
Bye-bye.